Shalom, this is Rabbi Mark Hillel Kunis and my Taste of Torah for Parshat Vayeyra 5781. Do you remember when you were a kid and got sick and your family doctor came to your home? This helped forge a very close relationship between you and your family doctor. I still remember Dr. Max Kaplan from my childhood and think of him from time to time with affection, reverence, awe, and even a smile. But who makes house calls anymore? I'll tell you who. While doctors don't make house calls these days, God still does. And that's a crucial lesson from this week's Torah portion. While the Torah doesn't specifically mention the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim, visiting the sick, it does teach it to us by example. If you read the end of last week's Torah reading, you'll notice that this week's Parsha begins as Abraham was recovering from his circumcision. It begins, Vayeyra elav Hashem, God appeared to him. What a dramatic statement this is. Everywhere else it says, and God calls upon him, or God speaks to Abraham. Only here it said God appears to him. Why? Also, if you look carefully at the text, you'll see something seems to be missing. What does God say to Abraham? It appears from the text that God doesn't say anything. He's just there. And perhaps that is the message. Perhaps God was modeling for us this mitzvah of Bikur Cholim, of visiting the sick, that when you know someone who's ill, you should go and visit them. And it's not so much important what you say to them, but that you appear, that you show up to comfort them. This is in fulfillment of the fundamental Torah principle, Mahu afata, as God does, so should you. In discussing the power of visiting the sick, the Talmud tells us that those who visit the sick, those who are ill, takes away actually 1/60th of their illness. This means that your visit can alleviate some of the pain and bring some relief to those who are ill. I understand with the COVID pandemic, we can't physically visit those who are ill without exposing them to further risk. However, we can call upon them, we can FaceTime them, we can Zoom them. We can really show up. And you know what? This is my favorite story in the Torah. Because after God appears to Abraham, all of a sudden he gets up to greet 3 strangers he sees coming. Let me ask you, if God appeared to you now, wouldn't this be one of the most significant moments of your life? So if someone called you on your phone while this was happening, would you put God on hold while you answered it? If this is precisely what Abraham does. He gets up, he goes out, he greets the strangers, leaving God behind, so to speak, just to make these strangers more comfortable and feeding them. The Talmud learns from this, Gedolat Pnei Achnos Arorchim Mikabbalat Pnei Hashchina, that showing hospitality to wayfarers is greater than receiving the presence of God. You see, Abraham was not ignoring God when he went up to greet these strangers. He was actually serving God. He was being God's hands in this world. With this kindness, with this compassion to strangers, he was bringing more light into this world. And that's what God wants from us. So my friends, let's combat all the vitriol and hatred we encounter in this world, especially in this electoral season we're in. Let's look for ways to bring more light, more compassion, more kindness into this sometimes dark world of ours. Have a great Shabbos.